The rain hammered against the windows of our small cottage in the Cotswolds, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. For 20 years, Alaric, a 46-year-old software engineer, had loved Bronte with a devotion that bordered on worship. We built a life together, a quiet, comfortable existence filled with Sunday roasts, long walks in the countryside, and the gentle rhythm of shared dreams. Or so I thought. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. Bronte, usually so open and communicative, became withdrawn. Her laughter, once a constant melody in our home, faded into a strained silence. She started working late, claiming deadlines and demanding clients. I, ever the trusting fool, accepted her explanations without question. After all, she was a successful architect, and I knew her job could be demanding. But the late nights turned into overnight trips, and the overnight trips into weekend getaways. Each time she offered a plausible excuse: a business conference in London, a site visit in Manchester, a meeting with investors in Edinburgh. I believed her, clinging to the hope that everything was all right, that our love was strong enough to weather any storm. The first crack in my carefully constructed reality appeared when I found a receipt tucked away in her purse. It was for a boutique hotel in Bath, a romantic getaway known for its luxurious suites and couples spa treatments. The date on the receipt was a Tuesday night, a night Bronte had supposedly spent working late at the office. My heart pounded in my chest, a cold dread creeping into my soul. I tried to rationalize it, to find a logical explanation. Maybe it was a mistake, a clerical error. Maybe she had gone there for a business meeting and simply forgotten to mention it. But the doubts had been sown, and they began to fester, poisoning my mind with suspicion and paranoia. I started paying closer attention to Bronte's phone, her emails, her comings and goings. I felt like a detective, a role I never wanted to play, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. One evening, while Bronte was in the shower, I succumbed to temptation and glanced at her phone. A new message had just arrived, a message from a number I didn't recognize. My hands trembled as I unlocked the phone and opened the message. It was a simple, innocuous text: "Thinking of you." But the sender's name was what sent a jolt of ice through my veins. Caspian, Caspian. The name echoed in my mind, a discordant note in the symphony of our marriage. I knew a Caspian. Caspian was the young, ambitious intern at Bronte's firm, a man she had mentioned in passing on several occasions. He was charming, intelligent, and undeniably attractive. I had met him once at a company party, and I remember feeling a strange sense of unease, a subtle undercurrent of something I couldn't quite define. Now, staring at that single word on Bronte's phone, I understood. Caspian was more than just an intern. He was the reason for Bronte's late nights, her weekend getaways, her emotional distance. He was the man she was betraying me. The shower stopped, and I quickly replaced the phone, my mind reeling, my heart shattered into a million pieces. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't feel anything but a crushing sense of despair. Bronte emerged from the bathroom, her face flushed, her hair wrapped in a towel. She smiled at me, a smile that now felt like a cruel mockery. "Everything all right, Alaric?" she asked, her voice dripping with false innocence. I forced a smile in return, masking the turmoil raging inside me. "Everything's fine," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Just a bit tired." I couldn't confront her, not yet. I needed time to process, to gather my thoughts, to decide what to do. I spent the next few days in a daze, going through the motions of my life, but feeling utterly detached from everything and everyone. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't focus on anything but the image of Bronte and Caspian together, their hands intertwined, their lips locked in a passionate embrace. I knew I had to confront her, but I wanted to be sure, to have undeniable proof of her betrayal. So I did something I never thought I was capable of. I hired a private investigator. His name was Sterling, a gruff, middle-aged man with a cynical demeanor and a keen eye for detail. I told him everything: my suspicions, my fears, the message from Caspian. He listened patiently, his face impassive, and then he nodded. "I'll get you the proof you need," he said, his voice devoid of emotion. "But be prepared for what you might find." Sterling worked quickly and efficiently. Within a week, he presented me with a thick envelope filled with photographs and documents. I hesitated for a moment, dreading what I was about to see, but I knew I couldn't put it off any longer. I opened the envelope and began to sift through the contents. The photographs were explicit, undeniable proof of Bronte's affair with Caspian. They showed them holding hands, kissing, entering and leaving hotels together. They were intimate, passionate, and utterly devastating. The documents were even more damning. They included copies of emails and text messages, detailing their secret rendezvous, their stolen moments of passion, their plans for a future together. They spoke of their love for each other, their contempt for me, their desire to be free from the constraints of our marriage. As I read their words, I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. I couldn't believe that the woman I had loved and trusted for so many years could be so deceitful, so cruel. I spent the rest of the night pacing the floor, consumed by rage, grief, and a profound sense of betrayal. I wanted to scream, to shout, to tear the house apart, but I forced myself to remain calm, to think clearly, to plan my next move. I knew I couldn't stay in this marriage, not after what Bronte had done, but I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I wasn't going to let her destroy my life without a fight. The next morning, I waited for Bronte to return from work. Walked in the door, her face tired, her eyes avoiding mine. "How was your day, Alaric?" she asked, her voice flat and lifeless. I took a deep breath and steeled myself for the confrontation. "We need to talk, Bronte," I said, my voice cold and hard. She looked at me, her eyes widening slightly. "What is it?" she asked, her voice laced with apprehension. I held up the envelope containing the photographs and documents. "I know about you and Caspian," I said, my voice trembling with anger. "I know everything." Its face paled and she stumbled backward, her hand flying to her mouth. "Alaric, she stammered, her voice choked with emotion. "It's not what you think, don't lie to me, Bronte," I said, my voice rising. "I have proof. I have photographs, emails, text messages, I know everything." She burst into tears, her body shaking with sobs. "I'm so sorry, Alaric," she cried. "I didn't mean for it to happen, it just happened." "It just happened," I repeated, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "You think you can just betray me, lie to me, and then say it just happened? Do you think I'm a fool?" "No, Alaric," she sobbed. "I love you. I never meant to hurt you. Love me," I scoffed. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have slept with another man. You wouldn't have lied to me for months. You wouldn't have destroyed our marriage." I know," she wailed. "I'm a terrible person. Please forgive me." I looked at her, her face contorted with grief, her eyes pleading for forgiveness. But I felt nothing, nothing but contempt and disgust. "I can't forgive you, Bronte," I said, my voice flat and cold. "I can never forgive you. Our marriage is over." I filed for divorce the next day. Bronte begged me to reconsider, promising to end the affair, to do anything to save our marriage. But I was adamant. I couldn't trust her, couldn't love her, couldn't even look at her without feeling a surge of anger and resentment. The divorce was messy and acrimonious. Bronte fought me every step of the way, trying to take as much as she could get. She claimed I was being unreasonable, that I was punishing her for a single mistake, but I refused to back down. I wanted her to pay for what she had done, to feel the pain and humiliation she had inflicted on me. In the end, I got everything I wanted. I kept the house, the car, and the majority of our assets. Bronte was left with nothing but her guilt and her affair partner. But even as I celebrated my victory, I felt a hollow ache in my heart. I had won the battle, but I had lost the war. My marriage was over, my dreams were shattered, and my heart was broken beyond repair. But the story doesn't end there. A few months after the divorce was finalized, I received a phone call from Caspian's wife, Orla. She had found out about the affair and was understandably furious. She wanted to know everything, to understand what had happened, to find a way to make sense of the betrayal. We met for coffee, and I told her everything, from the first signs of Bronte's infidelity to the final, bitter divorce. Orla listened intently, her face a mask of pain and anger. When I finished, she took a deep breath and said, "I'm going to destroy him." She did. Orla exposed Caspian's affair to his colleagues, his friends, and his family. She revealed his lies, his deceit, and his betrayal. Caspian's career was ruined, his reputation tarnished, and his life turned upside down. He lost his job, his friends, and his family. He was ostracized and humiliated, forced to face the consequences of his actions. I watched from a distance, a sense of grim satisfaction washing over me. I had been wronged, betrayed, and humiliated. But now Bronte and Caspian were both paying the price for their actions. They had destroyed my life, but they had also destroyed their own. I still felt the pain of betrayal, but I also felt a sense of closure, a sense that justice had been served. Years passed. I slowly rebuilt my life, focusing on my work, my friends, and my hobbies. I learned to trust again, to love again, to open my heart to the possibility of a new relationship. I met a wonderful woman named Isolde, kind, compassionate, and fiercely loyal. We fell in love, got married, and built a new life together, a life filled with happiness, trust, and mutual respect. One day, I received a letter from Bronte. She was living in a small apartment in London, working as a waitress, struggling to make ends meet. Caspian had left her, moving on to another woman, leaving her alone and penniless. She was filled with regret, remorse, and a profound sense of loneliness. She begged for my forgiveness, admitting that she had made a terrible mistake, that she had thrown away the best thing in her life. I read her letter with a mix of emotions. I felt a pang of sympathy for her, a flicker of the love I had once felt. But I also felt a deep sense of resentment, a reminder of the pain she had caused me. I didn't reply to her letter. I had moved on, built a new life, found happiness again. Bronte was a chapter in my past, a painful memory that I had learned to live with. I didn't need her forgiveness, and I didn't need to forgive her. I had found peace, and that was enough. The rain outside had stopped, and the sun was beginning to peek through the clouds. I looked out the window at the rolling hills of the Cotswolds, a sense of gratitude washing over me. I had survived the storm, weathered the betrayal, and emerged stronger and wiser. I had learned that love can be fragile, that trust can be broken, but that life goes on, and that happiness is always possible, even after the darkest of times. My story is a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most idyllic relationships can be shattered by infidelity and deceit. It's a story of heartbreak, betrayal, and the long, arduous journey to healing and forgiveness. It's a story about the resilience of the human spirit, the ability to overcome adversity, and the enduring power of hope. Remember, even when you feel like your world is collapsing, you are stronger than you think. You can survive, you can heal, and you can find happiness again. Never give up on yourself, and never lose faith in the possibility of a brighter future.